إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء.
So today I thought I'll take the opportunity of meeting you again, and I didn't have a clue what we was going to discuss because we've been busy and everything. But subhanallah, you had a good idea to speak about your publication from the IOU, which is a joint venture from, I notice, quite a few of your colleagues, and you've come up with this book called The First Day. So what was your idea behind this, Sheikh?
Well, the idea was that, you have so many Dawa centers around the world.
Yeah.
Everybody hustling and bustling, trying to figure out what to teach the new Muslims when they come in. And there have been things written and common books that were in circulation that people are using, bits from here, bits from there, and people reinventing the wheel backwards and forwards, and So I felt that we need to develop a specific book for the new Muslim. It's the new Muslim in mind. It's not a book which can be used for new Muslims, but a book specifically for new Muslims.
So from the get-go, the intention is
clearly for the new Muslim. So I figured that the way I would like to develop it would be according to the needs of the new Muslim on the very first day of his or her Islam. They've come into your office, they've come into your center, whatever, you've taught, they came to your home, whatever, you gave them the dawah, they accepted Islam. What do you need to give them before they leave? In case you never see them again, you at least have conveyed the message correctly. As much as you can in that one opportunity. So I sat with a group of du'at from the Qatar Guest Center here in Qatar. I was in charge of the du'at at that time.
When did you do this, Sheikh? How long ago was this?
It was maybe I think it was about 2006.
Wow.
Yeah.
MashaAllah.
Maybe about 13 years ago.
Subhanallah.
And the idea, having done it, was to send it out to Dawa centers around the world. And this was agreed upon and everything, but later on there was a change of administration and the new people came in. They weren't that concerned about the Dawa around the world. This thing was there, let's just focus on here. So it was squashed. But hopefully, inshallah, we will find some way to get this out, as a manual. I mean, of course, people, different circumstances, different people, different countries, they may modify it, add to it, remove from it. We're not saying this is the final word. We're just saying this is a version, which is specifically designed. And I don't know of any other versions. I didn't know of any other books written specifically for new Muslims.
I didn't know you'd done the book. I came across your online course for new Muslims about 7 years ago. I used to invite new Muslims to my house. We'd have tea and coffee, and we'd actually show your video, because that's a part of your website as well, the new Muslim training. You would give a lecture, and then you would have like a multiple choice Q&A. And it was very beneficial. But I didn't know you had this.
Well, I wrote the book first. Then we gathered a group of about 30 new Muslims in Ramadan, and I taught it to them.
MashaAllah.
Implemented it. We had a brother by the name of Centillion, who was Filipino in charge of recording in Fanar here in Qatar, and he used his equipment and recorded the class for the first day, the series of classes that made it up. And also we did the second level which was called the first week.
Mm.
You know, but of course, even the first week, though we call it the first week, this in terms of use in a Dawa center may vary. That may be the first month for somebody else,
Yeah.
depending on how many days a week they can come to the center.
Mm.
You know, if they were able to come every day, then you
know-
could use it there. But otherwise, it could be for 2 months.
Yeah.
If they're only able to come 1 day a week.
I think the important thing about it is that there is another step after the Shahada. Because a lot of the Dawa finishes with the Shahada.
Yeah, and it's a big mistake.
And immediately, you have to pray.
Mm-hmm.
The Salah should begin then.
Yeah.
And then because of the Salah, as you mentioned here, point 1, Wudu, being in a state of purity, of cleanliness, to begin that journey. And these are things that people don't actually think of. I've seen many people, they don't mention the Salah. So people become a Muslim, and then it's time to pray. We're going to pray, and they'll leave the new Muslim behind. Instead of bringing him along, taking him, doing wudu, going to the Salah.
Sure.
And that is the important point.
I've met new Muslims who have been a new Muslim for a year, 2 years. They still didn't know how to make Salah.
SubhanAllah.
Because no importance was given to it from the very beginning. People would always say, okay, you're a new Muslim, don't worry about it. You can learn it eventually whenever you get the chance. So it was like downplayed, whereas our thing was the next Salah. You need to take them to that Salah and pray it with them, right next to them. Let them follow you. Let them understand that this Salah is so important. You need to learn it right away.
Yeah.
At least as much as you can. As much as you can.
And he's teaching the new Muslim that, look, you have a responsibility now. It's not just believe. Yeah, it's great. It's academically, and, it keeps you motivated, it keeps you entertained, but you have an obligation now to worship Allah. This is what a Muslim is. Somebody who submits and worships to Allah. So the first and second point is the wudu and the salah. You've got that from the very beginning.
Well, actually, before that, we do ask the person. This is back to the Tawheed itself.
Okay, I've just seen that part.
We have to make sure
they actually
they know what they're getting into.
I just see that. So that's not even a point. This is a precursor to the points. Yeah.
So we make sure. Why are you accepting Islam?
Is it for a woman?
Clear. So it's clear. So we can advise them.
I missed that one.
Yeah. So that's.
I should have known better from Dr. Bilal. There has to be a Tawheed check.
Right. Because then one of the things that we ask them, if they're coming from a Christian background, we will ask them like questions which are like, in terms of your understanding, what is the difference between Jesus in Christianity and Muhammad in Islam? What do you think? Now, okay, or may I ask them, who are you obliged to worship in Islam? Are you still obliged to worship Jesus? Or is it God alone? Or when you become a Muslim, are you obliged now to worship Muhammad?
Yeah.
You see? To give them a check, an understanding check. Have they understood what it is they're actually accepting? That this is to worship God alone.
Yeah.
We don't worship Muhammad instead of Jesus, so you're just switching one with the other. Because that's what a lot of people come in and think.
And this, people might think, oh, but that's obvious. But Sheikh, it's not obvious.
No.
I met a man in Manchester once. I was on a Dawa table, and he said, I accepted Islam with you guys, meaning you Muslims, yesterday. So I thought, okay, let me just test him. So I said, what does God look like? He said he has a grey beard, and he sits on a cloud. And he was being honest. He was not pulling my leg. And then I said, who is Jesus? He said, God's son. So I know this for some people who maybe they're not involved in Dawa, or, you know, they don't know. I know it sounds like plain and obvious, you know, but it's not. You know, you really do need to tell people this.
Yeah.
You need to check. So we'll see here you've got, you know, you're confirming the Islamic perspective of Tawheed and Jesus, Isa alayhi salam specifically, of course, because obviously most of the people...
They're coming from a background where they were worshipping Jesus.
Yeah.
And Jesus was God, and they felt they were worshipping God, but it was Jesus they were worshipping.
Yeah.
So we had to make sure that that idea is clearly rejected in their minds. They've understood that no more. Jesus, not that you wipe Jesus out. No, of course. Jesus was a prophet of God. As Muhammad, may God's peace and blessings be upon both of them, were prophets of God. You know, he was a prophet of God also.
So before the Shahada, we need to ask them a few questions. Make sure they've understood. They understand what they're getting into.
Either it's before the Shahada, or if somebody brings somebody with them and says, this brother has just taken Shahada. You know, because it could come both ways. Right? So, and sometimes, you know, when I used to give the khutbah in Fanar Masjid, you know, afterwards they would bring people who were taking shahadas, you know. Normally the practice was just to bring them, line them up, you know, and they all raise their fingers and they say, Shadu Allah, you know. I said, wait a minute. let me ask all of them, did you understand? Do you understand what this is? Have you understood? Somebody's explained to you, you know who God is, you know who, you know. I would always, you know, stop it and try to change that approach, because it was more, they were using it more as a, you know, a promotional publicity stunt, or you could say to give that new Muslim, you know, a sense of the whole people saying Allahu Akbar, you know, Allahu Akbar, you know, you're accepting Islam, you know, and they come up, everybody gives you a big hug, and you know, afterwards, you know, ma salam.
And then he realizes his wallet's gone. No, but you know, I have witnessed this as well. You know, I remember I went to a village in Malawi. I was with an organization, and we was only there 10 minutes, and the truck was full of clothes and food, you know, like gifts, and everyone's got their eye on this truck, you know. And all of a sudden, they said, you know, who wants to become a Muslim? Everyone. I said, guys, relax. You know, let's speak to them.
Give them the message.
Speak. You know, it's not about numbers. It's about how many you've conveyed the message to. That's where you're, you know, that's what you should be counting. You know, how many people you successfully conveyed the message to. And sure enough, they all they all took Shahada. I was not happy with it. And from what I know, I've heard that village is no longer Muslim. Or were they ever Muslim? I'm not going to say they left Islam. I know for certain they didn't know what Islam was. You know, and that's the fault of the Muslims.
Sure.
You know.
Sure.
And so I think this is really important. You know. So yeah, thanks for taking me back to that. So the first part is making sure, you know, educating them on the Shahada, even if they've already took the Shahada. You know,
make sure they've understood it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they could be repeating the Shahada, you know, without understanding what it actually means.
You know, an interesting point here as well, Sheikh. I want to clarify that, you know, some brothers, they kind of Tawheed check the new Muslims. So they might ask you a question, and they might not know the answer, but they're sincere. Like, for instance, they'll say, where's Allah? And the new Muslim will say, everywhere. Oh, look, kafir, you know, or whatever. And they write him off instead of just saying, no, brother.
That's another extreme.
Yeah, you know, instead of just saying, no, you know, educating the brother. Don't, you know, understand.
Yeah, you don't have to go that deep.
Understand.
You don't have to go that deep. The key is that they understand it's Allah who is to be worshipped.
But even when it is that deep, understanding, this guy's on a journey. You know, he's a new Muslim. You know, he doesn't know everything in the beginning, but it doesn't mean because he got the answer wrong, he doesn't care. Or, you know, they're still sincere. So that's an important point.
Yeah, it's got to be
Yeah.
moderate.
Yeah.
You're dealing with a person
Yeah.
who newly has entered Islam or is about to newly enter Islam. Then you only need to check on the basics.
Yeah.
What is the basics? You know, do they understand that it is Allah alone to be worshipped?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the key. That they understood it's just Allah alone.
Yeah.
He is not visible,
Mm.
that we can see him with our eyes in this life, you know.
Yeah.
So there's nobody who can come around and tell you, well, I'm Allah. If you listen to you, say, somebody tell you that, no, he is not Allah. He can't be Allah. You know, no difference between that kind of belief and belief that Jesus was God.
Yeah. And then you go straight into wudu, salah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wudu, because wudu needs to precede salah.
Yeah.
We need to show them, go through the process with them. Don't just tell them, go make wudu, go in the bathroom, other people are doing it, you see what they're doing, just do it like they're doing.
Yeah.
No, you know, give them something of an understanding. Like, why are we making wudu? You know, at least the core idea of purification from sin. That we're purifying ourselves, you know, before going to worship Allah. And also that this is also preparation for the prayer itself. You know, that if you don't do your wudu properly, then that's going to affect your prayer. You know? I mean, when the Prophet ﷺ went to the point of having a man repeat his whole wudu because he had, you know, just a spot on the back of his foot. I mean, it was a big enough spot on the back of his foot, which was dry. He didn't wash it. He flashed it. And so we let him know that, no, you need to do it completely, complete wudu, and that this be psychologically, you know, spiritually, mentally, that you are preparing yourself to worship Allah. So that when they actually come in now for the prayer, they're coming in with that frame of mind, you know, so that it is the precursor for salah. So we try to give them that understanding, because that whatever we're teaching them, we know we have to teach them the ritual, but we need to teach them the understanding behind the ritual.
The preparation as well.
So they don't just afterwards question themselves, you know, this religion has got a lot of rituals in it. You know, you have to do this, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way.
But there's wisdoms in these things.
Well, you know, there's no connection. You know, because they said, okay, you pass wind, make wudu. What's the connection between passing wind and making wudu? You know? Because in the church, you just go past wind, nobody knows it. You know, it was you, you know, no problem. It doesn't affect your worship. But now, hey, this is really a whole nother level, you know, because even in the army, when people all stand up, you know, you're doing your thing, you know, people pass wind all the time, you know, but hey, this is like a whole nother level, you know. So we need to let them understand why do we need this other level? Because we're now worshiping Allah. You know, it is part of self-control. We control ourselves during this period of time. You know? So to give them some
the wudu is very, you know, there's so many benefits to it. You know, not just passing wind, but intercourse, everything. You're planning your whole day and life around the salah. Subhanallah. You know, and then what I like about your second point is prayer in the masjid. Because when I first became a Muslim, that's how I learned how to pray. Going to the masjid and praying in the congregation. You know, getting into the habit of praying with, you know, following people. Because when I was at home, I was like this, you know, I had the book in one hand and, you know, and I've got the laptop there. I'm trying to, but when I was going to the masjid,
you follow.
You know, you follow and
you learn it. You learn it much more rapidly than trying to do it on your own.
Subhanallah. So even if the masjid is, you know, a bit of a distance from your house, you should still try to make that effort to go, you know, because it's going to, you know, especially as a new Muslim, it's important that you're in that Islamic environment with the Muslims. Sure. The next one you've got pairing the convert.
Yeah, this is the concept of the Muhajirun and the Ansar. The Prophet ﷺ, when he came to Medina, he paired the Muslims. Muhajir would become a brother, actually, who would actually inherit. Of course, later Allah corrected that, changed that. But initially, that was his ijtihad, Prophet ﷺ's ijtihad. They were paired, and even some of the Ansar, of Medina, who had, wives. They even offered to divorce some of their wives so that the Muhajirun who are coming to them could have a wife to marry. They reached that kind of a level. Subhanallah. So the point is that the pairing, because that new Muslim, if you just leave him on or leave her on their own, then shaitan, of course, this is the time when they're the most vulnerable. So shaitan will be coming at them really full strength because they've failed, and these people have actually accepted Islam. Shaitan, they just lost somebody, so they're gonna try their best to catch them before they become firm. So they'll be coming at them left and right. So they need to have somebody there who will be ready to help them, answer any questions they have, go with them.
Also financially.
Yeah, financially, if you're able. If
they should try to help.
Look what their situation is, help them out. Yeah.
Because when someone accepts Islam, Sheikh, I use the example that most new Muslims have been on the sinking ship. That the ayah where Allah says they're in the sea, the ship. They've got to that stage where they've hit rock bottom, and they've called out to Allah for help. And you find a lot of new Muslims are the ones who have had difficulty in life. They've reached that stage where they've got nothing else and they ask Allah. Of course we do find rich people that accept Islam as well, but for the majority of people who have had a struggle in life, and you find a lot of them do need financial help as well. An example was Salman al-Farsi. SubhanAllah, the story of when he accepted Islam, where the Prophet encouraged, all the companions to help free him, financially helping, bring the date palms and SubhanAllah. So that's an important point as well. So it's not just spiritually and, showing them the salah, it's being their companion as well.
Yeah. Looking out for them, checking up on them. Calling up, how are you doing? How things going? Having any problems? Can I help you? Like this, getting them to the masjid.
Yeah, mashallah. Sheikh, the next one, you've got letter to the Imam.
Well, a letter to the Imam, what happens oftentimes when a new Muslim accepts Islam, and this is going to be, we're talking about males, especially in the countries where women don't normally go to the masjid and things like this, right? In other countries where they do, it could apply to them also. But generally, the men, when you, as a new Muslim, you come into the masjid, there are all these people there, you don't know them. They're completely unrelated to you. You have, no connection with them, You come in, you're a little shaky, and then, of course, when you walk in, oftentimes people turn and look at you. And you think, oh boy, what have I done wrong? You start getting scared and, these kind of things. So the idea is you go to the Imam ahead. We write a letter to the Imam, which says, this is a new Muslim. Please help him out, help him to get accustomed to settle into the Jama'ah, the community, etc., etc. So it becomes the responsibility of that Imam to help, to introduce him to the other people that are there. This is a new Muslim brother, so and so. If you can help him, and so, like this.
Yeah.
So he feels the comfort and support of the community from the beginning. That makes a big difference for a lot of people. So important for them to feel comfortable going into the masjid, because we tell them, yes, pray in the masjid, you take them with you and make that first prayer in the masjid. But, after you leave them on their own, now they have to go back in that masjid all by themselves.
Yeah.
For people who have not experienced that, they might think, that's no big
Yeah.
deal. You can walk into any masjid, no problem. But
It's dangerous. So, I didn't go. I fasted Ramadan on my own. I'd not even took Shahada. I was scared to go in the masjid. I didn't know what to expect. And I took Shahada in Egypt. And when I came back, I went to this masjid, but I only went there because I thought it was a school. If I knew it was a masjid, I never would have gone. Because as a non-Muslim, you hear all these stories, you have all these misconceptions, and it's not easy. Especially when you don't look like everyone else. You know as much as I do. You go into a certain mosque and, they're looking at you or whatever.
You're a stranger.
So I like this one, Letter to the Imam, because this could also be like going around and educating the Muslims about helping new Muslims as well. Doing courses, talks, trying to kind of create awareness about this. I like that. Sheikh, then you move on to Ghusl. So that's going to the next step of that.
Because we clarify, because some people, they say, well, no, they have to make a ghusl before they even take Shahada.
Yeah, I've seen this before.
Yeah, and it's a position held. Some scholars held that it
like
should
the
be.
born-again Christians when they dunk them in the bath.
Yeah, the baptism, yeah. It's like equivalent. But no, it's not a requirement. So, and, you don't need to delay things with the issue of the ghusl, but you do need to teach them about the ghusl, because once they enter Islam, everything before is cut off. So wudu is enough for them to go and pray. But now after that, if they have sexual relations, then you have to tell them about the ghusl. So now the next thing you need to teach them, right, is how to make ghusl. In the simplest form, because that's an issue. A lot of times people don't tell them about this.
Yeah.
They don't inform them about the ghusl. So they may go and pray with just wudu.
Yeah.
When they needed a ghusl. So
the next one you have, and I have a story about this, which is covering the Awrah. Now, it sounds so obvious, but I had a new Muslim. Funny enough, as I said, I used to have these weekly classes at my house. We used to go through your online program. And one of the new Muslims came. He's not a new Muslim. He's been Muslim like 15 years. And at this point, he told me a story when he'd been Muslim for 3 years. And he was working. And his boss came to pick him up from work. He's a Muslim guy. He's bibbing the horn. So he's rushing out the house. He came out. And he said to his boss said, "What was you doing?" He said, "Well, I got out of bed. I had a shower, I prayed, and I got dressed, and I come." So he said, "Say that again." He said, "I woke up, I had a shower, I prayed, and I got dressed, and I come. Sorry I'm late." He said, "Did you do it in that order? Did you pray with no clothes on?" He said, "Oh yeah, that's how I pray in the morning." Because he didn't know. He thought, natural and subhanAllah. He'd been praying.
Naked,
subhanAllah. May Allah forgive him. He'd be accepted, inshallah.
Yeah.
But subhanAllah, a lot of these things sound so obvious. But as a non-Muslim, you don't know.
Sure. You have no idea. And, Awrah, of course, involves so many factors for both females and males. That if you don't give them the basics, then it's very easy for them not to do the basics, because the whole society around them is a permissive society which encourages nudity and exposure of the Awrah. So then how do you expect them to realize this?
For the seventh one, you have the mentioning the prohibitions, the major prohibitions of Islam. So educating them more.
Because of course, basic ones of alcohol. If you don't tell them, they're gonna be a Muslim and still be drinking alcohol.
Yeah.
And if you just tell them in general, we Muslims don't drink alcohol, they will say, well, they will think, because I've heard, new Muslims say, well, we just have a glass of wine, on Sunday, with our Sunday meal.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not drinking, hard liquor. I'm not drinking scotch and whiskey and, these things. I've given all that up. But I still, keep with the, I don't know. No, this is included in alcohol.
Boyfriend and girlfriends as well. Yes. SubhanAllah. Yeah, these type
relations,
Yeah, SubhanAllah. The next one, a good one, mashallah, family advice. Because the new Muslim, as you said, Shaitan has just declared war on him. And it's going to come from every direction. And being able to cope with the family. Yeah. I'm sure you have many stories about this for you, SubhanAllah.
People have been told, I remember one brother, Jewish brother, who accepted Islam there in London. And, I was discussing with him and that, he told me that, his parents, after he accepted Islam, his parents called him up, he informed them. They got together and they met the family and then they called him up and said, last night we prayed the funeral prayer for you, Salatul Janaza.
SubhanAllah.
You're dead to us. Finish. And don't even call us. Don't even, finish.
SubhanAllah.
So, people can get to that extreme.
I've not heard that one before.
That one is like a classic. But all kinds of problems they can have with the family. Sometimes people even delay their Islam, because their wives or their husbands, so you have to help them work that out.
Sheikh, for someone who's in that situation, and would you advise them not to tell their family?
Well, if they say, well, listen, if my family find out, they're gonna kick me out and all these other kind of things, and I don't have any place to go and all this, don't tell them. You can hide it. You don't have to inform them, until you're in a position to inform them. Yeah. You can take care of yourself, or you got married or whatever, so you have a means. Sure. Yeah. We advise that, and also you don't need to go into, okay, listen, you just accepted Islam. Your husband, who you've been married to for the last 15 years, and you've got 8, 10 kids with, you are now, he is haram to you. This is something, although it is a major issue, you can feel it out with the person. Because if that's going to stop them from accepting Islam, then it's better to let it go for now. Let them build their iman, the strength, because better that they commit fornication
than not become
as a Muslim than to not commit fornication and be a non-Muslim. Because of course, as a non-Muslim, having sex with your husband is halal. It's not fornication. So it is better for them to have accepted Islam and be breaking that rule than for them not to accept
So just
Islam.
To clarify, for those who might not know, if somebody does, if a woman, I should say, comes into Islam and her husband is not a Muslim, the general rule is that they would have to eventually, they should, that marriage is stopped. But as you're saying now, just for those who don't know, that you have to weigh it up. You have to use wisdom, because the main thing is that they become a Muslim. And like you're saying, if that's going to prevent them, then you have to be very careful.
You don't have to. Their marriage, is put on hold. Because if the husband accepts Islam afterwards, then they don't have to remarry, because some people think, okay, now you've done that, you have to go remarry now. Salama, she...
yes.
Yeah.
And then later he came to Islam.
She separated from her husband. She came to Medina, and he was still keen. And then she said, okay, I'll make the mahar your acceptance of Islam. So when he accepted Islam, and then they carried on as husband and wife. They didn't do a new marriage.
So they just carried on. The next one you have is the seasonal acts of worship. What do you mean by this?
Seasonal acts of worship, meaning Hajj, Ramadan, these are seasons around the year. You should let them be aware of these. It's likely that when they accept Islam, either one is coming up, or they're in the middle of one, or they just came out of one.
Yeah.
Right? So just to inform them, give them an understanding of what those were about, especially if it's one they're just going into, right? That they may be taking part, either it's fasting or it could be for Hajj. If they have the means, financial means, etc., go for the Hajj.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, if somebody accepts Islam at the start of Ramadan,
they should fast.
They have to fast.
Yes, that Ramadan. Some people say, "Oh no, don't worry, you're a new
Take
Muslim."
your time.
Yeah. Eventually, no. You accepted Islam. It's Ramadan. You need to fast. Yeah.
Subhanallah. Yeah. And then you have the gift package. You've got a big list of different things. This is different things of gifts that you could possibly give.
Yeah, this is for centers.
Yeah.
For Islamic centers. And it could be for you as an individual.
Yeah.
The new Muslim, give them a sajada, for women, a prayer gown, what to pray in. So they have something simple that they can put on that will cover them up, right? And they'll pray in an acceptable way. I mean, of course, you've explained to them about Awrah, but they're not going to just change their wardrobe overnight. All of a sudden, they were half naked. Now they're completely covered. Okay. You explain the thing to them, but you still allow them time to. So what are they going to do in between? So should they go and pray in these things? No, give them a prayer gown. They have this one piece that they put over and it covers everything except for the head.
It's an easy one.
They can put that on easy for them to put it on for prayer.
And for the men, is it?
And between the navel and the knee.
Yeah. There's a lot of people trying to get you to wear certain attire.
Yeah.
Muslim clothes. Or change your name.
Well, you don't need to. Well, these are two different things. But in terms of the dress for the man, we should make it clear that for the man, his awrah is between the navel and the knee. And for that awrah to be covered, it's only considered covered if the garment is loose. So Western pants, which were designed to expose the awrah, for the most part are not acceptable for prayer. So at least this area should be loose, and if it's not loose, then at least for your prayer purposes, you have a sarong or a longi or whatever that you put on at the time of prayer, to at least fulfill that basic requirement. And then you should look about changing your wardrobe to more loosely fitting garments, which will not expose your awrah. How many times you go in the masjid and these guys make ruku' in front of you and A'udhu Billah, A'udhu Billah, and they make sujood. That's even a bigger calamity, So, besides what they're doing to the people behind them, what they're doing to their own salah. One of the conditions for the acceptability of salah is satr al-awrah, covering the awrah.
Yeah. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. I found it's very good.
Alhamdulillah.
And as we said, there's a lot of you've actually played a big role in many Dawa centers. SubhanAllah, everywhere I go, seem to be, following Dr. Bilal, SubhanAllah. I went to UAE, Saudi, Qatar, different places in UK, Canada, wherever, Africa, and alhamdulillah, you've played you've always focused and helped the new Muslims, especially in Dawa centers, and it's subhanAllah.
Well, being a new Muslim myself, I feel for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's natural that I'm going to have a greater care and concern to ensure that they are helped in one way or another.
Yeah.
So that is always, in the back of my mind whenever I'm writing, whenever I'm lecturing, to always look out for potential new Muslims or to help the new Muslims of any different area. Because I know the struggle that it was to gain enough knowledge to be able to practice Islam properly, etc. So naturally, I'm going to be particularly concerned about them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess alongside this, because this is really like you said, the first day, and then if we was to speak about, the first month or the beginning of a new Muslim, I mean, how can we start to teach them about the beliefs of Islam? What would you recommend?
Well, I did another program like this.
Yeah.
It wasn't published in book form like this, but it's also available on the Islamic Online University website in the free diploma in our free campus, where you can take the course. It's called The First Week. So in that, we now start to introduce some of the basic teachings, of Islam, in more in depth, that they can study systematically something of Aqidah, something of Quran, with tafsir, something of hadith, with interpretation, plus also the fiqh, the application now of the Quran and the Sunnah in our lives.
In a very basic,
the fiqh, and then Sirah, and some Arabic. Those, are basic Arabic enough to be able to start to read the Quran. To be able to say what you need to say in the prayers, so the first week goes into some of those very basic things. And then after that, then the third level would be the first month, which is, and this is assuming that people are able to come there every day a week, otherwise the first day, they may only be able to come to you for an hour. No, you can't fit all of this into an hour. So maybe they're only coming once a week in that hour. So this first day may end up being your first month, because you're only seeing them for 1 hour, 1 day a week. So you have to, though we've given these numbers, this is the ideal. If the person is able to come with you and sit with you that full day.
See, now with technology, people could actually listen to this in their car on the way to work. Or on the bus.
Alhamdulillah.
So all that time which would be wasted driving to work or back, you could actually listen to it on your way. So that's a good way. And eventually they could, and also you have your books as well, which maybe a bit later on. The
Islamic Studies series. I have one book called Foundations of Islam.
4 books, right?
Yes, 4-book series. That expands on all the basic information. The only thing missing from it is the Sirah section. And in the book, one book which I edited called, I think it's O-level. O-level, preparation for O-level Islam. Those who are going to do the O-level exams. So we put together there a Sirah section, which is very brief and simplified for the new Muslim.
MashaAllah. And then you have your book on Tawheed and evolution of fiqh, maybe a bit later on as well. So MashaAllah, we have everything.
It's available.
I
mean, when I accepted Islam back in 1972, there was nothing. There were no books.
SubhanAllah.
Actually, the only books that were available were Ahmadi, Qadiani books.
SubhanAllah.
That's the Ahmadi Quran, Maulana, what's his name? Muhammad, it's not Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was the English translation, first English translation by a Sunni Muslim. But this is another, forgotten his name. But his name is, it's something Ali also, I think. But that was the one which was available, and a book, a very thick book called The Religion of Islam, a thick book which was Ahmadi, which explains all the fiqh and the hadith and the tafsir and all that. That's what I initially was available for me to read,
Sheikh, I want to thank you for your work. Jazakallah khair.
Alhamdulillah.
I mean, it's really, for me, especially me, I mean, I relied a lot on your work as a new Muslim. you know, because it just having it authored in English is so important, because the translations of classical books are, I mean, they're a bit better now, but even when I first began to
and books written by a native speaker of English.
Because you can't
Because they
translate
may not
Arabic
be
into English.
translated.
It doesn't work.
You know, but the person is not a native speaker of English, and he'll be he'll be writing things. He's writing, he's conveying ideas, he's writing it, you know, in English.
Yeah.
But you know, what did he mean?
Yeah.
What is he trying to say? You know? So I mean, I remember probably the greatest you know, calamity in translation that I've come across. I remember in the Arkham Center there in Singapore, I went in and I saw this book. You know, they showed me their syllabus, what they're teaching Muslims and everything. And for new Muslims, I saw this book. It was called something like The Religion of Islam, something like that. You know, medium size, 100 pages, 150 pages. And I was flipping through, and I went to Tawheed, belief. And what they had there was Greek philosophy. So complex and complicated, I couldn't understand it. And my major was Aqidah. You know, this was my area of specialization. I couldn't understand it. So I asked even the brother who was in charge of the center at the time, I said, what did you understand from this? I couldn't understand too much either. And I said, brother, you don't need to be giving new Muslims this book. And I went on further. You know, I found in the book, they were talking about things, you know, which, it's common in the subcontinent, you know. They were talking about, for example, with diagrams, how to wipe your behind according to the sunnah, you know, after defecating.
Wow.
You know, that, you know.
With visuals.
Well, they didn't get to the actual details, but they showed the directions. They said, you know, in the winter, you should do it counterclockwise when you're wiping your behind. And in the summer, you do it clockwise. I said, where did this come from? I said, please, brother, you don't need to have this book there. And then they went further when they're talking about, you know, things which will break your wudu and you'll have to make ghusl or, you know, wudu for it. They talked about if you have sex with a fish. What? Oh God, really? You know, having sex with a fish. If any non-Muslim were to read this, they would think, what kind of, these Muslims are into some really crazy stuff. You know?
Is this? Sheikh, you know.
But you know where it came from? You know, where it came from, these are from classical books which were written from Hanafi fiqh, where they do in fact discuss these matters. They're there, you know. They went into this. This is speculative fiqh. You know, scholars speculated, you know, to work out issues and problems before they occur. This was the approach, right? Especially the Hanafi approach. So so amongst the points of discussion, the thing was, okay, what happens if you have sex with a fish? You know, will your wudu still be good? You know? Okay, they were doing it for for fiqh contests and things like this, but this is not suitable for a new Muslim or for a regular practicing Muslim to have to read this stuff, you know. So I told him, brother, please, this book, you need to burn it. Get rid of it. Don't let any, you know, new Muslim or non-Muslim come and see this book, because it's going to really put a bad, you know, understanding in people's minds.
You know, I had one Dawa center. I'm not going to name the Dawa center, but it's in the Middle East. So they put this Salah book together, an Arab. So they said, can you just have a look at it? We've already printed 500,000 of them, but we want you to check it. We're sure it's okay.
Better late than never.
So I checked it. He said, when you go into ruku, you put your hands on your ankles.
On your ankles? What kind of...
They meant the knees.
Knees, but he translated
but
knees
subhanallah,
as ankles.
You know...
what that could do to
you
somebody.
can't, you can't put it out. You know.
So of course, when you told them that, listen, you need to recall all of these
Yeah,
books.
they didn't give any out, alhamdulillah. But it's a waste. No, but alhamdulillah.
Well, that they
yeah.
could have just got a sticker which says,
You know,
instead of ankles, knees, and then just stick it into
But
all those
it's
copies.
probably cheaper and easier, just, you know, rather than employing someone, just, you know, and they're not short of money, this particular organization. But alhamdulillah, but this is outlining the importance of having a native speaker who's writing for a particular audience. Like your work, like you say, this is for a particular audience. Brand new Muslim. Your study books are for the middle step, you know, and then your other books like Tawheed and other ones are maybe a bit more someone who's getting a bit more advanced. But you have an intention before you start, you know, of who you're writing for. And it really does show.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really shows. So, Jazakallah khair, Shaykh.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. It's been a long journey.
Yeah, and thank you for your work, and alhamdulillah. I just, I'm going to ask you publicly because otherwise we might not get it off you. But we want you to finish Usul al-Fiqh. And then your collection is finished, alhamdulillah.
Inshallah.
So inshallah.
Yeah. It's
Inshallah.
in mind, and
you just put it down for a long time, but inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh. Maybe we can leave it there, and Jazakallah khair. So please join us next time for another episode of Young Smirks, and we'll see you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء